What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Planet of the Apes video. Today we're talking about Planet of the Apes, the TV series, episode 3, The Trap. So right off the bat, Pete and Alan are fucking insane in this show. They're trying to distract a gorilla, because, like, there's a guy up top on this hill, and he's moving this metal, like, shiny thing, and they gives directions to the other apes. So they sneak up on one, using Galen to distract the guy.
Oh God, please help me! Who are you?
So while they're doing that, they sneak up behind him, throw a rope around him, and start strangling the guy. I think at one point they kicked him in the head and the balls. It was a weird fight, but that was pretty fun. But they distract him, so now there's no one up top that can give the main gorilla, Urko, who's been chasing after these guys since the beginning. He's, like, coming after with his troops. That's what they've been running away from. They're trying to... If you've been following along, they crash landed here like the normal Planet of the Apes, and they have this little chip that they're trying to get into a bigger computer so they could find out, like, the coordinates to get home and hopefully build a spaceship and get home. But while that's happening, this gorilla's chasing them because of shenanigans from previously. But yeah, Pete and Alan, if they sniff a fight, like, nearby, they're gonna be there and they'll be kicking someone's ass or getting their ass kicked. One way or the other, someone's ass is getting kicked. So a little bit later on in the episode, there's an earthquake, and I was very impressed with, like, how they had everything shaking. There was, like, water flying out of their pot. I think later on there's an earthquake and, like, stuff's flinging off the tables. They probably had those, like, on strings, but I was pretty impressed for, like, the 70s of how they did that. That was really good. But so then Urko is alerted about the boys and he starts heading towards them, but when he gets to that guy's post, he sees that no one's there and he's like, hey, that guy would never leave his post. So then he starts, like, investigating.
Something's wrong. He'd never leave his post.
So then the boys head to a local village that apparently is, like, known to harbor fugitives. The gorillas know that too later on. But as they're getting introduced to this family, this guy's like, oh, and here's my son, Jick.
My son, Jick. Hello there.
What the fuck kind of name is Jick? You named your son Jick? Rick was taken in this town? Fucking, who names their kid Jick? Well, so while they're in there talking to the humans, that's when the other earthquake happens inside there. Well, so Pete and Alan, they're talking to the family, and the daughter brings out this electrical stuff that she found, like these electrical wires and stuff that she found in the city, and that gives Alan the biggest boner of all time, and he's like, we gotta get there, we can find a computer, and he's dead set on going there. So now he has to go there and find a computer to get, you know, stuff.
Might be able to find some of the answers that we've been looking for.
Yeah, and a building might fall down on us. What then?
Urko then gets to the village, and he's yelling at this old lady. Very quickly finds out that, you know, the humans were in this home. So he goes in there. He ends up finding the bag of electrical gear that the daughter left out. You know, there's fucking apes looking for the people that they were hiding, but she leaves her electrical gear out, sure. But so because of that, they kind of yell at them. They have, like, a back and forth with the humans. They're like, no, they went that way. And he's like, no, humans lie. So he doesn't believe them, which is true. You know, they were lying, so.
I always assume a human is lying.
He ends up going to the city to find Pete and Alan and Galen. The boys make it to the city, but Galen is already there, and he has gorillas surrounding them, so the boys are fucked. They're trapped in the city. Galen ends up seeing one of the gorillas, so he shouts, run. They're running away from the people. I believe Alan gets indoors to hide, but Pete ends up fighting Urko. An earthquake happens, and the earth swallows Pete and Urko into it, and then a building collapses on top of the hole, covering it up.
Yeah, and a building might fall down on us. What then?
And then after that, Alan does a fucking sick move. He ends up, like, climbing on this, like, balcony or, like, up on this building, and he jumps off onto a gorilla, knocks him off his horse and shit. These boys have some good fighting moves. Urko wakes up underground. Pete's already kind of looking around, but then Urko wakes up. They start scruffling a little bit. Pete tries to talk his way through it. They have a whole back and forth for a couple minutes of this. It honestly got kind of old. But they come to the conclusion that they have to work together. Pete kind of persuades, like, as best he can, persuades Urko to do it. And he even has to admit that I lied about the whole thing. I lied. I didn't see anything. This whole place was apes back in the day. It wasn't humans.
Yes, it was all yours. It was all yours. I lied, but you saw through me.
But even though he does that, he still tries to, like, convince Urko about that. And they both end up seeing a poster on the wall that's from a zoo back in the day with a gorilla and, like, humans handing him, like, a banana and stuff like that. There's a lot of proof down there. Like, for example, Pete ends up finding a solar-powered light that has the world's longest cord, too. He can fucking walk anywhere down in their little area and light it up. But he finds that, so that's another thing. Like, oh, this was from way back in the day and the solar still works, which is kind of fucking crazy, to be honest. But, you know, cool. After that, Pete's walking by all these posters of, like, future inventions, which was kind of cool. Let's just, I'll throw in a clip of every single one of them here, because there's, like, 4 of them.
One of the more advanced forms of nutrition. A meal and a pill.
A pill?
Liver, your kidneys, your heart, they give you a new one. Instant health. Disposable clothing. You wear it and then you wash it down the drain. Electronic neurological monitor. You got something wrong with your head, you hook yourself up, calm yourself down.
It's at this moment that Pete sees that zoo sign that like showed the kids giving the gorilla a banana and whatnot. So I thought he was going to use that, but instead he just pulls up like a phone there and is like, look, see? this was a phone back in the day. We could use it to call each other. And like, obviously it doesn't work. And the gorilla's like, okay, we'll try it. And he's like, well, I can't. No one will answer. It really went nowhere with that. But I totally thought that was going to be the zoo moment. Alan and Galen, they end up finding the remaining gorillas that are now, they're looking for Urko because, you know, he's underground with Pete. They end up getting into a building and they're shouting from like different windows things at them to get their attention. And it ends up coming to where Galen comes out and has like a little conversation with them. And then they're basically like, hey, let us help Urko and then we'll also get our friend as well and blah, 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 blah. Whatever the guy is that would be next in charge, they have him like give them their word that all of them can go free and they won't kill them by the end of this. Which the second that happens, you know that's going to be a problem at the end. Especially because like in their little truce right there, one of the other gorillas tried to shoot them. So like they barely listen.
Get it, duck!
I did like this though a lot. Alan uses Morse code, like tapping on this little beam to talk to Pete down in there, and they end up having to get a message like, what's Urko's wife name, to prove that Urko's alive down there. That was a good bit. I liked them doing that back and forth. That was fun. So now we're back down there with Pete and Urko. Pete gets the idea to build a ladder, and they could try to like dig out and do stuff to help out the people up top that are helping to dig down to them. And Urko's like, "Well, I can't help you. That's human labor."
What you're doing is human labor.
Urko doesn't do human labor. But so while they're doing this, you know, Pete's getting really tired. Kind of seems like he built most of the ladder. So he asks Urko to go get the last beam for him. While he's over there, he ends up seeing the zoo poster. He gets like a piece of glass and he cuts it out and stuffs it in his sleeve. But then he also keeps like the shard of glass or whatever it was in his other sleeve. Which, is there anything more terrifying than if someone pulled out like a shard of glass from their sleeve and is just like, I gotta kill you now. I'd shit my fucking britches. So now at this point, Alan and the other gorillas, they've tied up like ropes to the fucking rubble, to horses and all this stuff back and forth so they could do it, and they lift open the top, or they lift up the wall so that way they could free Alan and Urko. Meanwhile, while it's happening, you know, they get it open a little bit, they throw a rope down. Urko takes this time to call out Pete, goes to show him the poster, but Pete's like, I already saw it, whatever, I know what that means. So then he goes to fucking attack him, he pulls out his thing and he goes to stab Pete, but Pete blocks it with the light and ends up getting Urko electrocuted. After that, it looked fucking hilarious, but he ends up tying the little rope around Urko so they could pull him up, and that looked so funny. Urko's passed out, so then they get Pete up there as well, so then, you know, it's kind of like, oh, what's gonna happen here, you know? Urko was just about to kill him, and he doesn't want those other gorillas to know about the poster he saw. But so then a moment later, Urko wakes up and he demands for them to shoot them right away.
I said, kill them.
The other gorilla's like, nah, I can't. He's demanding it, but he's like getting weaker and weaker as he's yelling it, and he's like slowly kind of like passing out. The main gorilla that's in charge now that Urko's out sends these other gorillas to take him back to town, give him the rifle, he'll take care of the execution. He doesn't. He lets them go scot-free, but then he looks down and he finds the zoo poster. He just fucking, he tears that to shreds too. He doesn't even give two shits about that. He's like, I'm not letting that message get to town. So after that, the boys are wandering off. You know, you hear a couple shots out in the air, like to pretend that he shot them. They sit down, they rest, and they talk for a little bit, and then that's it. That is the episode. So I enjoyed that episode. It was pretty fun, but at the same time, I'm like, fuck. Are we gonna progress the story? We've done nothing to progress the story in 3 episodes, which is kind of a bummer, you know. Especially because I know there's only 1 season of this show. A lot of these do seem like they're just one-off episodes, which that's not what I was expecting, to be completely honest. It's like, there's like this much of the story that moves forward every time, and that's about it. But other than that, I'm having a blast watching this. This is a lot of fun. But yeah, that's going to do it for my episode 3 video on Planet of the Apes, the TV series. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe if you did, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scouts.